My name is Rebecca Martinez, and at 28 I thought I understood family loyalty. That was before my parents chose my golden child brother's backyard barbecue over the biggest night of my career. A $15,000 partnership gala where I was being honored as youngest senior associate. Their empty seats in the front row weren't just embarrassing, they were a declaration. But what happened next exposed a web of favoritism so deep it shattered everything I believed about unconditional love and rewrote our family's entire power structure. Before we dive into this family revenge story that'll make you question everything about blood versus chosen family, let me ask, where are you watching from tonight? If you've ever felt overlooked by the people who should celebrate, you most smash that like button and subscribe because this story gets wild. Trust me, you'll want to see how karma served the coldest dish of justice I've ever witnessed. The Morrison and Associates annual partnership gala wasn't just another corporate event, it was the culmination of 6 years of 80-hour weeks, missed holidays, and sacrificing my social life to climb the legal ladder. As the youngest attorney ever promoted to senior associate at the prestigious firm, this night represented everything I'd worked for. The invitation specifically stated it was a celebration of my achievements with keynote remarks about my groundbreaking environmental law cases that had saved 3 communities from toxic waste contamination. I'd reserved the best table for my family 2 months in advance. Mom, Dad, my younger brother Jake, and his girlfriend Melissa. The $500 per plate event was my treat, my way of saying thank you for their support during law school and the grueling early years of my career. Or so I thought their support existed. 3 days before the gala, Mom called with news that made my stomach drop. Honey, Jake's throwing a barbecue that same night for Melissa's birthday. It's been planned for weeks and you know how much this means to him. Can't you just move your work thing, move my work thing? 6 years of dedication reduced to a work thing that could be rescheduled like a dentist appointment. But the real knife twist came when I checked Jake's Instagram that evening. The barbecue planning posts dated back only 5 days after he knew about my gala. The caption on his latest post made my blood run cold. Finally, an excuse to skip Becky's boring lawyer stuff. Family comes first, right? 23 likes from our extended family, including our parents. I called Dad, hoping for different perspective. Instead, I got the same dismissive tone. Rebecca, you're being dramatic. There will be other work parties. This is family. When I explained this was a once-in-a-lifetime honor, he sighed heavily. Your brother needs us there. He's been struggling since the layoffs, and Melissa's been talking about moving back to Phoenix. This party might be his chance to propose. Jake had been unemployed for 8 months, living in our parents' basement, while I'd been sending him money for job interviews that I now suspected were dates with Melissa. Meanwhile, I'd been working myself to death, earning recognition that apparently meant nothing to the people who raised me. The next morning brought the real revelation. My paralegal Carmen mentioned seeing my parents at lunch with Jake and Melissa at the country club, the same country club where I'd been paying for Dad's golf membership as a birthday gift. When I casually asked Dad about it later, he claimed they'd been at home all day. That evening, I found myself driving past their house at dinner time. Through the dining room window, I saw them laughing over takeout from Giuseppe's, the expensive Italian place they claimed they couldn't afford when I'd suggested celebrating there last month for Mom's retirement. Jake was showing them something on his phone and all 4 of them were laughing. Hard. I sat in my car watching my family bond over excluding me from their lives, and something fundamental shifted inside my chest. This wasn't about one missed event. This was about a pattern I'd been too busy achieving to notice. I started paying attention. Really paying attention. Jake's job interviews happened exclusively on weekdays when I was at work. The family group chat that had gone mysteriously quiet 3 weeks ago. Mom's sudden inability to meet for our monthly lunches. Dad's excuses about being too busy to review my cases like he used to. The truth crystallized when I found the real smoking gun. Melissa posted a TikTok video showing off her surprise early birthday celebration at the same restaurant where I'd had my law school graduation dinner. The video was captioned, "Best future in-laws ever, they know how to make a girl feel special," posted 2 weeks ago. With my parents tagged. They'd been planning this celebration long before Jake's barbecue excuse materialized. They'd chosen him over me deliberately, enthusiastically, and publicly. The barbecue was just convenient cover for what they really wanted to celebrate the person they'd always preferred while avoiding the obligation of recognizing my success. I screenshotted everything. Every Instagram post, every TikTok video, every family group chat message I'd been excluded from. The evidence painted a picture of systematic favoritism that went far deeper than missing one event. They weren't just skipping my gala. They were actively choosing to celebrate my brother's girlfriend's birthday instead of their daughter's career milestone. But the final piece of evidence came from an unexpected source. My elderly neighbor, Mrs. Chen, stopped me while I was checking my mail. "Rebecca, dear, your parents seem so excited about Jake's engagement party this weekend. They've been talking about it for weeks when they visit. Though I'm surprised they didn't mention your big celebration too." Engagement party. Not birthday barbecue. They'd been lying about the event itself. I spent that night in my apartment, surrounded by law books and case files, finally understanding that I'd been fighting for a partnership at work while never realizing I wasn't even considered equal partnership material in my own family. Every achievement I'd shared, every success I'd celebrated with them had been met with polite interest at best and resentment at worst. The gala was in 48 hours. I had a decision to make: show up alone and pretend everything was fine, or find a way to make my family understand exactly what they'd chosen to miss. But as I looked at those empty spaces at my reserved table, a different idea began forming. What if their absence became the most powerful presence of all? The morning after my devastating discovery, I woke up with unusual clarity. The hurt was still there, sharp and fresh, but underneath it was something more useful: cold, calculating anger. I'd spent years trying to earn my family's pride and support. Now I realized I'd been playing a game where the rules were rigged against me from the start. My phone buzzed with a text from Jake. "Hey sis, hope you understand about Saturday. Family first, you know. Maybe we can grab coffee next week and you can tell me about your work thing." Work thing. There it was again. I screenshot the message and added it to my growing evidence folder. Instead of responding, I called my assistant Marcus, who'd become more of a friend than employee over the past 3 years. "Marcus, I need you to help me with something unconventional." "How unconventional are we talking? Like surprise the partners with a mariachi band, or like fake your own death unconventional, somewhere in between?" "My family just bailed on the gala and I have 4 empty seats at the premium table. I want to fill them with people who actually deserve to be there." Marcus was quiet for a moment. "Rebecca, are you okay? You sound different." "I'm better than okay. I'm done pretending that blood relation equals automatic respect. Help me make a list of people who've actually supported my career, people who've been more family to me than my actual family." We spent the next hour crafting the perfect guest list. Carmen, my paralegal, who'd worked late countless nights to help me prepare cases and never complained once. Dr. Elena Rodriguez from the Environmental Justice Clinic, who'd become my mentor and believed in my cases when nobody else would. Mrs. Patterson, the 70-year-old client whose property I'd saved from illegal dumping, who'd become like a grandmother to me. And Marcus himself, who'd seen me through every professional crisis and personal breakdown. But filling the seats wasn't enough. I needed my family to understand exactly what they'd thrown away. I started with social media reconnaissance. Jake had posted 17 Instagram stories about the engagement party planning. 17. Complete with polls asking followers to choose between rustic, chic, or garden party themes for what was supposedly Melissa's birthday barbecue. The contradiction was so obvious I wondered how I'd missed the lies before. Then I crafted my response strategy. First, I created a group chat with my chosen family, the 4 people who'd be joining me at the gala. I explained the situation honestly. My family had chosen not to attend the biggest night of my career, and I wanted to celebrate with people who understood its significance. Carmen responded immediately. "Girl, I'm wearing my best dress and bringing tissues for when you inevitably cry during your speech." Dr. Rodriguez was more direct. "Your family doesn't deserve you. I'm honored to witness your moment." Mrs. Patterson's response made me laugh out loud. "I'll wear my pearls and give those fancy lawyers something to talk about." Marcus just sent a gif of someone throwing confetti with the caption, "Let's make this legendary." Next, I reached out to my photographer friend Sarah, who did corporate events. "I need documentation of everything. Every speech, every award presentation, every moment of celebration. And I need the photos ready for social media by Sunday morning. Planning some revenge posting, Sarah asked knowingly. Planning some truth-telling. The most important call was to my firm's marketing director, Jennifer. I have a proposition for the gala coverage. Instead of the usual corporate photography, what if we focused on the human story? Show what it means when a community supports someone's dreams versus when they don't. Jennifer loved the angle. We've been wanting to do more authentic content about work-life balance and chosen family. This could be perfect for our diversity and inclusion campaign. I spent Thursday crafting the perfect social media strategy. I wouldn't bash my family directly, that would look petty and unprofessional. Instead, I'd celebrate the people who did show up. I'd tag everyone who supported me, share quotes about chosen family and professional achievements, and let the contrast speak for itself. But the real masterstroke came when I decided to live stream parts of the event. Not for attention or sympathy, but to create an undeniable record of what my family had chosen to miss. Let them see exactly what Becky's boring lawyer stuff actually looked like. Friday afternoon I got a call from Mom. "Honey, I've been thinking about tomorrow night. Maybe Dad and I could swing by after Jake's party winds down." The audacity was breathtaking. "Mom, the event ends at 10 p.m. Jake's party starts at 6. There's no swinging by afterward." Well, we could leave his party early. No. The word came out sharper than I intended. "You made your choice. I've made mine. Rebecca, don't be difficult. We're doing our best to support everyone." Supporting everyone except me. "I've found my people." What's that supposed to mean? You'll see. That evening I tried on my gala dress, a stunning emerald green silk number that had cost me a month's grocery budget. Looking in the mirror, I realized I was looking at a woman who'd spent her whole life seeking approval from people who'd never planned to give it. Tomorrow night, that woman would be replaced by someone who'd learned to value herself the way others valued her. I texted my chosen family group chat, "Final headcount confirmation needed. Tomorrow we celebrate not just my promotion but the family that chooses to show up." 4 immediate confirmations. No excuses, no alternatives suggested, no requests to reschedule. Just. I looked at my phone at the silence from my actual family group chat and felt something I'd never experienced before. The peace that comes from finally understanding where you stand. Tomorrow night wasn't just about celebrating my professional success. It was about publicly acknowledging who'd earned the right to share in it, and who had forfeited that privilege through their own choices. The revolution was about to begin, and I was finally ready to lead it. Saturday morning arrived with the kind of crisp autumn air that makes everything feel possible. I woke up before my alarm, not from anxiety but from anticipation. Today was the day I'd stop being the family member who begged for scraps of attention and became the woman who celebrated her achievements with people who truly understood their value. My phone had 3 missed calls from Dad and 2 texts from Jake. I ignored them all while getting ready, focusing instead on the group chat with my chosen family. Carmen had sent pictures of her dress, a stunning royal blue that would complement my emerald green perfectly. Dr. Rodriguez shared a photo of the vintage jewelry she'd chosen, pieces that had belonged to her grandmother who'd been the first woman doctor in her family. Mrs. Patterson had Marcus help her pick out the most intimidating rich lady outfit she owned, complete with the pearl necklace her late husband had given her for their 50th anniversary. The energy was infectious. These people weren't attending out of obligation or guilt, they were genuinely excited to celebrate with me. Around noon, I decided to share the first strategic social media post. A photo of my gala dress hanging next to my law degree captioned, "6 years ago I hung this diploma on my wall with dreams of changing the world through environmental law. Tonight I celebrate becoming senior associate surrounded by the family that helped make it happen." Sometimes the people who believe in your dreams aren't the ones you expect. I tagged all 4 of my guests and added hashtags about chosen family and professional milestones. Within an hour, the post had 60 likes and 12 comments. Colleagues, law school friends, and clients all congratulating me and commenting on how lucky I was to have such supportive people in my life, notably absent any reaction from my actual family members. That's when Jake finally called. "Becky, what the hell is that Instagram post supposed to mean?" The family that helped make it happen. We're your family, are you? I kept my voice calm, professional, because family shows up for important moments. Family doesn't lie about prior commitments to avoid celebrating your achievements. It's not like that, and you know it. This is Melissa's birthday, Jake. I know about the engagement party, Mrs. Chen told me. Stop lying. Silence. Then okay, fine, we're planning to propose. But that doesn't mean we don't care about your thing. My thing. There it is again. Tell me, Jake, do you know what I'm being honored for tonight? Another pause. Your promotion. I'm receiving recognition for the Riverside toxic waste case. I saved an entire community from groundwater contamination. Families have clean drinking water because of work I did. Children won't get cancer because of cases I won. But to you, it's just my thing. Becky, you're being dramatic, I'm being clear. You don't value what I do, and that's fine. But don't pretend this is about Melissa's birthday when you've been planning an engagement party for weeks while lying to me about it. I hung up before he could respond. 20 minutes later, Mom called. Rebecca, your father and I need to talk to you. Can you come over? I'm getting ready for the gala. This will just take a few minutes. It's important. Against my better judgment, I drove to their house. I found them in the living room with Jake and Melissa, all looking like I'd interrupted a family meeting, which I realized I had. Honey, Mom started, we've been talking and we think you're taking this too personally. We can't help that Jake's engagement party is the same night as your work event. Work event, I looked at each of them. Do any of you know what tonight actually is? Blank stares. I'm the youngest person in the firm's history to make senior associate. I'm being honored for winning 3 major environmental cases this year. The managing partners are giving speeches about my future. Law school deans will be there. This isn't a work happy hour, it's the biggest professional milestone of my career. Dad shifted uncomfortably. Well, we didn't know it was that big of a deal. Because you never asked. In 6 years of practicing law, when have any of you asked about my cases or my goals or what my work actually means? Melissa, who'd been quiet until now, spoke up. Rebecca, I'm sorry our engagement party conflicts with your event, but surely you understand that getting engaged is a bigger life moment than a job promotion. The audacity was stunning. Congratulations on your engagement, Melissa. I hope you understand that earning partner track at a top-tier law firm after 6 years of 80-hour weeks is slightly different from getting a job promotion. There's no need to be condescending, Jake said. You're right. There's no need for any of this conversation. You've made your priorities clear. I stood to leave, but Mom grabbed my arm. Rebecca, you're being unfair. We raised you to put family first. You raised me to achieve excellence and work hard. I did both, but apparently you also raised me to believe that family support was unconditional. I've learned that was wrong. What's that supposed to mean? Dad demanded. It means I'll be celebrating tonight with people who actually know what I'm celebrating. People who've supported my career instead of treating it like an inconvenient hobby. As I reached the door, Jake called out, You're really going to throw away 28 years of family over one night? I turned back. I'm not throwing anything away. I'm just finally understanding what was never really there to begin with. Driving home, my phone buzzed with texts from my chosen family. Carmen had arrived early to help with my hair and makeup. Rodriguez had brought champagne for a pre-gala toast. Mrs. Patterson was already dressed and ready to show those lawyers how a real lady carries herself. Marcus had coordinated with the photographer to ensure we'd have beautiful documentation of the evening. These people had rearranged their Saturday schedules, bought new outfits, and spent their evening celebrating my success, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. The contrast with my biological family couldn't have been more stark. As I pulled into my apartment complex, I made a decision that would have seemed impossible that morning. I was done chasing approval from people who'd never planned to give it. Tonight I would celebrate my achievements with people who understood their worth. I posted another strategic update, a group photo of my 4 guests getting ready with the caption, Getting ready with my chosen family, the people who know that celebrating each other's dreams is what real love looks like. The response was immediate and overwhelming. comments poured in from colleagues, friends, and even some distant relatives who understood what I was really saying. People who'd watched me struggle for family acceptance for years were finally seeing me choose myself instead. By 6 p.m., as my biological family was toasting Jake's engagement party, I was surrounded by people who were genuinely excited to share in my success. People who'd asked detailed questions about my cases, who understood the significance of environmental law, who'd watched me grow professionally and personally. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was exactly where I belonged, with exactly the right people. The revolution wasn't just beginning, it was already transforming everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and what family really means. The Morrison and Associates Gala exceeded every expectation I'd harbored. The grand ballroom at the Fairmont Hotel was transformed into an elegant showcase of legal excellence, with crystal chandeliers casting warm light over tables filled with the city's most influential attorneys, judges, and business leaders. As we entered, I felt the confidence that comes from being exactly where you belong, surrounded by people who chose to be there. My chosen family made an immediate impression. Dr. Rodriguez commanded attention in her vintage emerald jewelry, discussing environmental policy with a federal judge. Mrs. Patterson had the managing partners laughing at stories about her late husband's 40-year legal career. Carmen networked like a natural, already planning her own law school applications after tonight's inspiration. Marcus documented everything with the skill of a professional event coordinator. The evening's program began with cocktails and networking, followed by dinner and award presentations. As the youngest senior associate in firm history, I was scheduled to speak about the future of environmental law. But first, the managing partners would present my achievements to the assembled crowd. During cocktails, I noticed my phone buzzing constantly. Jake was posting Instagram stories from the engagement party, elaborate decorations, champagne toasts, and my parents beaming as they celebrated their future daughter-in-law. The contrast between their genuine joy at his event and their dismissive attitude toward mine was stark and well documented. Partner Margaret Chen approached our table during dinner. "Rebecca, your guests are delightful. Mrs. Patterson was just telling me about your pro bono work with elderly clients facing housing discrimination. Why didn't you mention that in your partnership track application?" I glanced at Mrs. Patterson, who winked conspiratorially. She'd been strategically sharing stories about my community impact all evening. I didn't realize it qualified as significant contribution. "Are you kidding? That's exactly the kind of community engagement we value most, Dr. Rodriguez also mentioned your volunteer work at the environmental clinic. You're being far too modest about your comprehensive impact." As the formal program began, senior partner David Morrison took the podium. "Tonight we celebrate not just professional excellence, but the kind of dedication that transforms communities. Rebecca Martinez has spent 6 years proving that exceptional legal work and genuine social impact can coexist beautifully." He detailed my 3 major case wins: the Riverside groundwater contamination lawsuit that secured clean water for 3,000 residents, the industrial air quality case that forced a chemical plant to install better filtration systems, and the landmark wetlands preservation suit that protected 200 acres of critical habitat. Each case had taken months of research, community organizing, and strategic litigation. But what makes Rebecca extraordinary, Morrison continued, isn't just her legal brilliance, it's her ability to see the human impact behind every environmental violation. She doesn't just win cases, she transforms lives. The applause was thunderous. I looked at my table to see Dr. Rodriguez wiping away tears, Carmen beaming with pride, Mrs. Patterson nodding approvingly, and Marcus recording every moment. These people understood the significance of what I'd accomplished because they'd been part of the journey. When I took the podium for my speech, I had a moment of perfect clarity about what I wanted to say. 6 years ago, I believed that hard work and dedication would naturally earn recognition from the people who mattered most. Tonight I've learned something more important: recognition from people who understand your work's value matters more than approval from people who don't. I looked directly at my chosen family table. Environmental law isn't glamorous. It's complex cases, long hours, and fighting for communities that often can't fight for themselves. It requires support from people who believe that clean air and water aren't luxury items but basic human rights. The speech continued for 8 minutes, outlining my vision for expanding environmental justice work and the firm's role in protecting vulnerable communities. The standing ovation that followed lasted nearly 2 minutes. But the real masterpiece was happening simultaneously online. Marcus and Sarah, my photographer friend, had been strategically posting throughout the evening. Professional photos of our table, candid shots of the networking conversations, videos of the award presentation, and my speech highlights were being shared in real time. The captions told a story without explicitly attacking anyone, surrounded by my chosen family at tonight's celebration. When people truly understand your work's impact, every achievement becomes a shared victory. Grateful for the mentors, colleagues, and friends who see the person behind the professional accomplishments. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Law school classmates, former colleagues, clients, and professional contacts were commenting, sharing, and celebrating. The hashtag number chosen family support started trending in our city's legal community. Meanwhile, Jake's engagement party posts were getting standard congratulations, but people were also commenting with questions. Isn't this Rebecca's big night too? Didn't she have some important work event tonight? Extended family members who knew about both events were starting to connect the dots. The evening's crescendo came during the networking reception after dinner. A federal judge approached me with an unexpected opportunity. His chambers had an opening for a law clerk position that could lead to a federal prosecutor track. Your environmental justice work is exactly what we need in federal court, he explained. Dr. Rodriguez has been singing your praises all evening. Partner Chen pulled me aside with even bigger news. Rebecca, the partners have been discussing your trajectory. We're fast-tracking your partnership consideration. What you've accomplished in 6 years typically takes 8 to 10. We want you to lead our new environmental justice division. These weren't just professional compliments, they were career-changing opportunities that had materialized because I was celebrating with people who truly understood and valued my work. People who could articulate its significance to influential decision-makers. As the evening wound down, my phone showed 17 missed calls and 43 text messages from my biological family. The Instagram stories from Jake's party had devolved into damage control as relatives questioned why his parents had missed their daughter's major career milestone for an engagement party. But I wasn't checking my phone for their validation anymore. I was surrounded by people who'd chosen to celebrate my success, who'd opened professional doors, and who'd proven that support isn't about blood relation, it's about genuine investment in someone's dreams and achievements. The evening ended with champagne toasts at our table, professional contacts, exchanging cards and promises for follow-up meetings about exciting new opportunities. My chosen family had given me more than emotional support, they'd actively contributed to my professional advancement in ways my biological family never could because they'd never bothered to understand what I actually did. As we prepared to leave, Mrs. Patterson squeezed my hand. Rebecca, dear, tonight showed me something beautiful. You've built the kind of life and career that attracts remarkable people. That's not luck, that's character. She was right. Tonight wasn't just about celebrating my achievements, it was about recognizing the family I'd chosen and the family that had chosen me back. Sunday morning arrived with the kind of intensity that follows life-changing events. I woke up to my phone buzzing constantly, notifications from social media, text messages, missed calls, and emails from colleagues who'd seen the gala coverage. But instead of the anxiety I'd expected, I felt remarkably calm. For the first time in years, I'd acted completely authentically, and the results spoke for themselves. The first thing I noticed was the Instagram engagement. My posts from the gala had collectively received over 300 likes and 60 comments. Colleagues were congratulating me, law school friends were expressing pride, and several clients had reached out to thank me for representing their cases with such dedication. The professional networking alone had been worth the entire evening. But the real revelation came from the family group chat I'd been excluded from for weeks. Jake had added me back sometime after midnight, and the conversation history told a devastating story. Mom, 1147 p.m. Did you all see Rebecca's Instagram? Who are those people she called her chosen family? Aunt Linda, 1152 p.m. I've been wondering why you weren't at her big law ceremony. Didn't she say it was a huge deal, Dad? 1203 a.m. We had Jake's engagement party. Family comes first. Cousin Mike 1215 a.m. Wait, you missed Rebecca's partnership celebration for an engagement party. Those happen once in a lifetime. Engagements happen when people are ready. The conversation continued, with various relatives expressing confusion and disappointment about my parents' priorities. Several mentioned seeing my professional achievements highlighted in the local legal journal and wondering why the family wasn't supporting such significant success. Uncle Tom had been particularly direct. I've watched Rebecca work herself to death for 6 years. She's the first lawyer in our family, and you missed her biggest night for a party that could have been any weekend. That girl is going places, and you better figure out how to support her before she stops, including any of us. The messages continued through the night, with my parents growing increasingly defensive while extended family members expressed growing disbelief at their choices. Jake had tried to defend them, but even his arguments sounded weak when written out. By Sunday morning, the damage was comprehensive and public. My parents had been forced to explain to aunts, uncles, cousins, and family friends why they'd prioritized one child's engagement party over another child's career milestone. The explanations weren't landing well with people who understood professional achievement. Around 10 a.m., Dad called. I let it go to voicemail. Rebecca, this is getting out of hand. The whole family is calling us asking why we weren't at your event. You're making us look like terrible parents. Call us back so we can discuss this like adults. The victim blaming was predictable, but the panic in his voice was new. For 28 years they'd been confident that I would always prioritize family peace over personal respect. They'd never considered what would happen if I stopped protecting their reputation from the consequences of their choices. Mom tried next. Honey, I think there's been a misunderstanding. We didn't realize your work event was so important. Maybe we can all sit down and talk about this. Work event. Even now, even after seeing the professional coverage and family reaction, she still couldn't acknowledge what she'd missed. The real chaos began when Aunt Linda called me directly. Rebecca, sweetheart, I need to understand what happened yesterday. Your parents said they couldn't come to your celebration because of Jake's party, but the whole family is talking. This was your partnership ceremony, senior associate promotion with partnership track, I corrected. Youngest in the firm's history. Recognition for environmental justice work that's literally saving lives. And they missed it for an engagement party. They've been planning Jake's party for weeks while telling me they couldn't reschedule a birthday barbecue. Silence. Then Rebecca, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. If I'd known, I would have been there. Your grandmother would be so proud of what you've accomplished. That conversation was repeated 6 more times throughout the day. Extended family members calling to apologize for not knowing about the significance of my achievement and expressing shock at my parents' priorities. Each conversation revealed how systematically my parents had downplayed my success while amplifying Jake's every minor milestone. The Instagram activity intensified throughout Sunday. My post-gala photo with my chosen family had been shared by colleagues, tagged by clients, and commented on by legal professionals across the city. The narrative was clear: a brilliant young attorney celebrated by the community that recognized her impact. But the contrast posts were equally telling. Jake's engagement party photos showed a nice backyard celebration with family members who looked increasingly uncomfortable as the evening progressed and the family drama unfolded in real time via social media. By Sunday afternoon, my parents were in full damage control mode. Mom posted on Facebook about being so proud of both our children's achievements with a throwback photo from my law school graduation. The timing couldn't have been more obvious or desperate. Jake texted privately, Becky, this has gotten crazy. Can we just call a truce? Mom and Dad are really upset. I responded, I'm not the one who created this situation. I celebrated my achievement with people who valued it. The family drama is a natural consequence of their choices, not mine. But you're making them look bad on purpose. I'm making them look accurate. If they don't like how their priorities appear to others, they should examine their priorities, not blame me for having witnesses. The most revealing moment came when Melissa called me directly. Rebecca, I'm really sorry about the timing conflict. I didn't know your law thing was such a big deal. If I'd realized, we could have moved our party. Melissa, the timing conflict was created deliberately. Jake knew about my gala when he planned your engagement party. This wasn't bad luck, it was a choice. What do you mean? I walked her through the timeline, Jake's Instagram posts, the planning dates, the lies about birthday barbecues versus engagement parties. By the end of the conversation, Melissa was quiet. I need to talk to Jake, she said finally. That's between you two. But understand that this pattern isn't new. It's just the first time I've stopped enabling it. Sunday evening brought the inevitable confrontation. My parents showed up at my apartment unannounced, looking haggard and desperate. Rebecca, this has gone too far, Dad said immediately. The whole family thinks we're terrible parents because of your social media posts. I posted about celebrating with people who supported me. If that makes you look terrible, maybe examine why. You know what you're doing, Mom accused. You're punishing us publicly for missing one event. I'm living my life authentically, instead of protecting your reputation from your own choices. The difference is significant. They stayed for an hour, alternating between defensiveness, guilt-tripping, and bargaining. They offered to throw me a belated celebration to attend future events to make this right, but they never once acknowledged that their priorities had been wrong or that my achievement deserved the respect I'd received from everyone else. As they left, Dad played his final card. Rebecca, we're your family. These work people don't really know you like we do. I looked at him steadily. You're right, Dad. They don't know me like you do. They see me as someone worth celebrating. 3 months after the gala, my life had transformed in ways I never could have anticipated. The federal clerkship Judge Martinez had offered led to an interview with the U.S. Attorney's Office for an environmental crimes prosecutor position. Partner Chen had fast-tracked my partnership consideration, and I was now heading the firm's environmental justice division with a team of 3 associates. But more importantly, I'd discovered what it felt like to build a life around people who celebrated my success rather than resented it. The chosen family table from the gala had become a genuine support network. Dr. Rodriguez and I met monthly to discuss environmental policy and mentorship strategies. She'd become the professional mother figure I'd always needed, someone who understood both the challenges of being a woman in law and the importance of using legal skills for social impact. Mrs. Patterson had introduced me to her bridge club, a group of formidable elderly women who'd become an unexpected source of wisdom and referrals for elder law cases. Carmen had indeed started law school applications with recommendation letters from 3 partners she'd met that night. Marcus had been promoted to office manager after the partners saw how professionally he'd coordinated the gala documentation. Our friendship had deepened into something like siblings, the kind where someone knows your dreams and helps you achieve them, rather than competing with them. The contrast with my biological family remained stark. They'd made several attempts at reconciliation, each following the same pattern: acknowledgement that they'd misunderstood the situation, promises to do better, and subtle pressure for me to return to the family dynamic, where I prioritized their comfort over my own needs. Jake's engagement had proceeded, but the wedding planning had revealed fault lines in his relationship with Melissa. She'd been asking pointed questions about family dynamics and future holiday planning. The woman who'd initially dismissed my lawyer thing was now reconsidering what it meant to marry into a family that played obvious favorites. The extended family fallout had been comprehensive. Thanksgiving had been awkward, with cousins and aunts pointedly asking about my work while giving my parents tight-lipped smiles. Christmas had devolved into family members choosing sides, those who thought I'd been too harsh about missing one event versus those who understood that the gala represented years of systematic dismissal. But the most significant change was internal. I'd stopped seeking approval from people who'd never planned to give it and started building professional and personal relationships with people who valued what I valued. The anxiety that had characterized my family interactions for years had been replaced by the confidence that comes from finally understanding your worth. The vindication came in unexpected ways. A feature article in the State Bar Journal about young environmental attorneys highlighted my work and included quotes from community members whose lives had been affected by my cases. Mrs. Garcia from the Riverside contamination case said, "Rebecca didn't just win our lawsuit, she gave my grandchildren safe drinking water. She's family to us now." That quote had been shared across social media by colleagues and clients. The phrase, "she's family to us now," had become something of a motto in my office. Real family isn't about blood relation, it's about people who show up when it matters and understand what matters to you. My parents had seen the article. Mom called to congratulate me, her voice careful and formal. "We're very proud of what you've accomplished, Rebecca." "Thank you," I'd replied simply, no longer the eager daughter trying to squeeze validation from reluctant sources. "Maybe we could take you to dinner to celebrate just the family." "Which family are you referring to, Mom?" The question had hung in the air before she'd quietly said she'd call back later. The real resolution came on a Tuesday in March, when I received an unexpected visitor at my office. Melissa appeared at my door looking nervous but determined. "Rebecca, I owe you an apology. A real one." I gestured for her to sit down. Over the next hour she explained that the engagement party had revealed dynamics she hadn't noticed during her 3 years with Jake. The way my achievements were dismissed, the way my parents' attention flowed exclusively toward their son, the way my professional success was treated as somehow less important than Jake's unemployment struggles. "I started paying attention after our phone conversation," she said. "You were right about everything. The party planning, the deliberate scheduling, the lies about birthday versus engagement." Jake admitted it when I confronted him directly. "What made you start questioning things, your Gala posts? Seeing how those people talked about you, how proud they were, how they understood your work's impact. Then I compared that to how your own parents talked about you, and the difference was stark." She paused, fidgeting with her engagement ring. "I've been thinking about what kind of family I want to marry into, what kind of values I want for my future children. The way they treated you that night showed me something about how they handle success and priorities. And I broke up with Jake last week. I felt a mix of surprise and respect." "That's a significant decision." "It wasn't just about you, though, that was part of it. It was about realizing that his family's dysfunction was something he participated in, rather than challenged. When I asked him why he'd scheduled the party to conflict with your gala, he said, 'Rebecca's always been dramatic about her career stuff.' That told me everything I needed to know about how he'd treat my achievements if we got married." We talked for another half hour about family dynamics, professional respect, and the importance of surrounding yourself with people who celebrate your success rather than diminish it. As she prepared to leave, Melissa said something that surprised me. "Rebecca, I hope someday I have the courage you showed that night. Choosing to celebrate with people who actually valued what you'd accomplished, instead of begging for scraps of recognition from people who'd already decided you didn't matter. That was revolutionary." After she left, I sat in my office thinking about the word revolutionary. For 28 years, I'd been trying to fit into a family dynamic that was fundamentally incompatible with who I was becoming. The gala hadn't been revenge, it had been revolution. The revolution of finally choosing myself, my values, and my people. 6 months later, my chosen family gathered for my partnership ceremony. Dr. Rodriguez, Mrs. Patterson, Carmen, Marcus, and now several new additions, colleagues who'd become friends, clients who'd become mentors, and professionals who'd become chosen siblings. The people who understood that celebrating each other's dreams is what real love looks like. My biological family received an invitation. They didn't attend, citing a prior commitment. I didn't ask what it was. But you know what? I didn't need them there. I was surrounded by my real family, the people who'd earned their seats at my table through years of genuine support, authentic celebration, and shared values. Have you ever had to choose between blood family and chosen family, between people who demand loyalty and people who've earned it? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. Hit that like button if this resonated with your own family dynamics, and subscribe for more stories about finding your people and building the life you deserve. Share this if you know someone who needs to hear that family isn't always about who raised you, sometimes it's about who celebrates the person you've become. Thank you for listening to my journey from seeking approval to celebrating authentically. May you always know the difference between people who support your dreams and people who just expect you to support theirs. Until next time, choose the family that chooses you back.